I never expected hospitality to start a revolution. My name is Darian Cole, and I was just an ordinary human living on the edge of the Tarki sector, a frontier of the galaxy where humanity had established small, isolated colonies. My home, a modest two-story dwelling on the outskirts of Nova Delta 9, was hardly the kind of place that would attract attention from interstellar powers. That changed the night two alien foes literally fell through my front door. It began with a storm. The Tarki sector was known for its unpredictable subspace weather, storms that could twist gravity fields and render ships helpless. I was preparing dinner when a brilliant flash of blue light tore through the sky, and my door was shattered by two figures materializing in a temporal displacement anomaly. They were both alien but enemies, I could tell immediately. One was Krylia, a tall, armored figure with jade-green skin and sharp, angular features. Her eyes glowed amber with what seemed like simmering rage. The other was Voran, shorter, more sinewy, with iridescent silver scales and eyes like molten gold. They glared at each other, then at me, as if assessing the threat. "You, human," Krylia said, her voice a resonant hum. "Why is this your domain?" "Stay calm," I replied, hands raised. "I don't know how you got here, but you're in my home now. Outside's unsafe." Voran hissed but did not attack. "We do not trust humans," he said. "But your home offers temporary sanctuary. We will survive the storm, then continue our conflict." Decide. I had no choice. "Fine. You can stay. But don't break anything else." The first hours were tense. The two aliens sat in opposite corners, eyes never leaving each other. Their conversation was sharp, a mix of threats and accusations in languages I barely understood. I stayed out of it, offering food, water, and, most importantly, heat. Both species were ill-adapted to human living conditions. Krylia shivered in the human cold, and Voran's scales cracked slightly without the proper humidity. Over time, though, something unexpected began to happen. I started small, sharing stories of Earth, of human struggles, of survival on a frontier planet. I explained how humans, though physically weaker than most alien species, survived by adaptation, cooperation, and ingenuity. Krylia scoffed at first. Voran remained skeptical. But the more we talked, the more they began to see a pattern they hadn't considered. Trust could be built, even between enemies. "You speak as if all conflicts can be resolved by words," Krylia said one evening, eyes narrowing. "In my galaxy, weakness is punished immediately." "Sometimes," I replied, "but strength isn't just about weapons. It's about choices. You've been fighting each other for centuries. Maybe there's another way." Voran tilted his head. "You suggest alliance. Or at least understanding," I said. "You're both trapped here together. Use this time to learn, not just fight." Days passed. I created a routine. Morning exercises to adapt their bodies to human gravity, storytelling in the evenings, and shared meals. Slowly, Krylia and Voran began to cooperate, sometimes grudgingly. They discovered shared experiences of loss, of betrayal by their respective factions, of frustrations with endless conflict. Then came the storm's peak, a subspace anomaly so violent it threatened to tear Nova Delta 9 apart. Our small frontier settlement faced obliteration if the storm reached critical intensity. Both Krylia and Voran recognized the danger instantly. "We must work together," Krylia said, voice sharp but tinged with fear. "Our ships will not survive the temporal turbulence." Voran nodded. "Your calculations, human. Do you trust him?" Shrugged. "Trust me or don't. But the alternative is death." Together, we stabilized my small orbital relay stations, redirecting the storm's energy through safe channels. It was a dangerous gamble, requiring coordination across species and languages. For the first time, the two enemies moved as a team, their skills complementing each other. Krylia's tactical knowledge paired with Voron's technical genius. I handled the human-engineered safety protocols. By the storm's end, we had saved the settlement. But that was only the beginning. News of our cooperation spread quickly. Word reached the Central Galactic Council, the interstellar body governing disputes between species. The story of two mortal enemies working together in a human home became legendary. It was more than an act of survival. It was a symbol of potential harmony between warring civilizations. Krylia and Voron were summoned back to their respective empires. Protocol dictated that I return to my frontier life, but neither alien left without offering a remarkable gesture, a formal invitation to act as a mediator in future disputes. "Human," Krylia said, amber eyes meeting mine. "You have shown what our species could achieve if not blinded by hate." Voron added, "You have altered more than this home. You have altered perception." I shook my head. "I didn't change the galaxy. I just gave you a warm place to think." Over the next year, the consequences unfolded in ways I could never have predicted. The rivalry between Krylia's and Voron's factions softened. Minor skirmishes ceased. Emissaries traveled more frequently to negotiate rather than to fight. Other species took notice, curious how one human from a small frontier home could catalyze such transformation. I became a symbol, not because I wielded power or technology, but because I demonstrated compassion, ingenuity, and courage. Humans, long considered insignificant by galactic standards, were suddenly viewed as potential allies, mediators, and stabilizers. The two alien sisters, or rather leaders, remained in contact. Their cooperation led to joint programs for education, trade, and conflict resolution across several systems. My home became a minor historic site, celebrated for being the unlikely cradle of interstellar peace. The true test came 2 years later. A coalition of over 1,000 star systems faced imminent conflict, sparked by residual disputes that neither Krylia nor Voron could entirely suppress. They called upon me, not as a commander, but as a consultant, an advisor, someone who had witnessed firsthand the potential for peace even between enemies. We convened in my home, which had been expanded into a small interstellar summit center. Krylia and Voron stood together, facing representatives from dozens of species. My role was minimal, just a human among many, but my influence was visible. I had demonstrated a simple principle. Even in the darkest conflicts, empathy and understanding could create pathways for cooperation. The summit succeeded. The galaxy acknowledged that trust, compassion, and ingenuity mattered as much as fleets and firepower. My modest home on Nova Delta 9 had become the starting point for a movement that reshaped interstellar relations. Looking back, I realized the simplicity of my act. I opened my door. I offered warmth, food, and shelter. 2 alien foes arrived, expecting hostility. They left transformed, as did I. The galaxy itself shifted, not through weapons, politics, or treaties, but through the courage of a human willing to act when circumstances demanded it. Sometimes I am asked, did I know the consequences of letting those 2 aliens into my home? Smile. No, I did not. But that is the thing about courage. It is measured not by foresight, but by willingness to act when it matters most. The universe was never the same because a human decided to show compassion in a storm. And sometimes that is all it takes to change everything.